Ole Miss can always score, but this 2024 edition may be the best under Lane Kiffin. 4 seasons under Lane Kiffin, the Rebs have yet to score less than 33 points per game. They look to be extra explosive here this fall. We got Zach Morith on the line. The Rebel Walk. Join Zach on a regular basis right there with the folks at the Rebel Walk. Zach, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Mark. How are you, man?
I am doing well. Good to see you. Glad to have you back.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for this.
And it's always fun when the football team's supposed to be as good as Ole Miss is, and coming off a nice 11-2 campaign with a big bowl win against Penn State.
Of course.
And it's always good to have the starting quarterback back when he's been as productive as Jackson Dart, who really had a bit of a breakout season for him last year in regards to extra big plays downfield, limited the picks to 5. Your thoughts about Jackson Dart moving forward?
Yeah, I think Jackson he took that next step forward last year, Mark, and he did a fantastic job in that transition. Because like you said, you mentioned the interceptions. That was kind of a problem his first year at Ole Miss. So he kind of limited that down in his second season here. And moving forward, it's just kind of about putting the pieces around him to improve his stats even more. And I think Lane Kiffin has done exactly that. So it should be fun just to see what Jackson can do in his third year under a Lane Kiffin offense.
Yeah, we see it there, 65% completion percentage, and may surprise some people with 8 rushing touchdowns right there as well. So he can, break, contain, threaten the defense there. So those defensive backs don't want to turn their backs on him, because if he sees an opening in the line of scrimmage, he can always, convert a third down.
For sure. No, that's one of the more underrated parts of his game, but he did have a bit of a problem not sliding. He seems like he always wants to get that extra yard, and against Georgia, he kind of paid for it. One of their defensive linemen just basically knocked him over like it was nothing, and that kind of caused a bit of an ankle injury. And then he had surgery over the ankle, I think this offseason, so he's still kind of recovering. He's practicing fully, but he's still taking those next steps to get fully healthy here in the spring, Mark.
Lane Kiffin, a bit of a perfectionist, a stickler, especially on this side of the ball. Has there been anything that he has stated in regards to Jackson Dart getting even better and him wanting more out of him?
Lane, he's really complimented Jackson on kind of assembling the squad, Mark, more so the off-field stuff rather than the on-field over the offseason. He said he played a big part in returning, wide receivers like Trey Harris and Jordan Watkins, who were 2 of his most productive guys this year. Tight end Caden Prescorn, and also in the recruitment of Juice Wells, who Ole Miss picked up from South Carolina. So it seems like Jackson's done a really good job, despite being injured, assembling this team. And then I do know over spring break, Jackson and a couple of the wide receivers went to California and trained with each other. So you can tell the intangibles are there. It's just going to be about getting him to full strength and seeing what he can do in his third season here.
Then if we look at the quarterback backup situation, that is pretty plainly Walker Howard, I would think.
Yeah, right now it's probably Walker, but Austin Simmons, as we all know, he's also playing baseball. So honestly, that's probably putting a little more stress on him than it needs to. So heading into the fall, I would probably go with Walker, but we'll see, because Austin's very talented. I believe he's 18 years old, maybe 19, super young kid, but he can do it all, Mark. He obviously plays baseball, like I mentioned, but especially in the football field, he can run. His arm is extremely strong. He's very accurate. So that'll for sure be a quarterback battle next year, but I'm curious to see who's going to get that backup spot this year, but it does look like Walker Howard right now.
Quinshon Judkins is a guy that broke out 2 years ago. I remember seeing him for the first time in an early SEC game in 2022 and thinking, I did not really catch on to this guy in the recruiting process. Where did he come from? He wasn't that highly touted. Hit a big 2022, scored 15 touchdowns last year. He's obviously taken his talents to Ohio State. I'm guessing that caused a bit of a stir.
A little bit, Mark. It was very controversial. People, obviously, there's rumors, there's message boards posting all these different things. I don't know the truth. It doesn't matter. He's playing for Ohio State next season. It is what it is. But like you said, it does cause a bit of a problem in the running back room. Two of Ole Miss's running backs who were planning to start next year, Logan Diggs, who transferred from LSU, and Ulysses Bentley, who was the backup last year, they're both injured right now. So it's a bit of a problem. If there's a problem on this team, it's for sure the running back room. You can bet Lane Kiffin is going to get probably at least one, probably two running backs in the spring portal cycle. And one of those names that comes to mind is Henry Parrish from Miami. He hit the portal a couple weeks ago, and he did used to play at Ole Miss under the same running backs coach that's here right now.
We're talking Rebels, and we're looking at the offense, and we got Zach Morth on the line from the Rebel Walk. Please join him right there. Subscribe right here. You like the video, so confirm that with the like button as well. I got to tell you, Zach, two of the best catches that I saw in all of college football last year. One, I don't want to screw this up because I'm almost positive. One was Dayton Wade.
Yep.
And then the next week, or it was later in the game. I'm trying to think what game it was. It's either the Texas A&M game, and then it was the Georgia game the next week. And I'm like, that's a different guy. How did they have two guys that could make catches like that? Then it was Trey Harris.
Right.
And I'm like, good Lord. Two dudes on the same team are capable of making that kind of catch. Two of the best catches I saw all season.
They were fantastic. And in that Georgia game, Ole Miss was getting pummeled at that point. So I was kind of tuning out already. And then you see Dayton make that catch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was fantastic. But, like you said, that wide receiver room, it's going to be incredible. Dayton is trying to pursue the NFL, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Trey Harris is coming back. I talked about Juice Wells from South Carolina. He didn't play a whole lot last year, but the year before, he was a force for them. He caught up for over 900 yards. Let me check here. Yeah, averaged 13 yards per catch. So, and he's 6'1", 210. He's not a slot guy. He's a bigger body, and he can do it all, along with Jordan Watkins, who is your slot guy. Him and Dart are very close. Jordan's been here for 2 years. This will be his third year, just like Jackson, so he knows the offense well. And again, he's fast, great leader, and just a good person to have in the locker room, Mark.
And, of course, with what Lane Kiffin likes to do with his receivers and tight ends, you can almost put Caden Priestcorn into that category as well. He was reliable with 30 catches last year. Yeah,
Priestcorn, it was interesting. People were really excited about Priestcorn. He's a great player. He came from Memphis, and then he had toe surgery, I believe, in the upcoming weeks leading up to the season. So he didn't come back till week 4, and he actually said in a press conference he really wasn't even practicing at that time. He was just playing in the games, and he was still really productive. Kiffin's referred to him as an NFL-type tight end who can block and get open in the middle of the field. We saw it in the Peach Bowl, too. He tore apart that Penn State defense. So when Caden's healthy full year round, I'm really looking forward to see the impact that he can make in this offense.
All right, Zach, that's all the players that people like to talk about. You can look at the numbers. You can talk about speed, matchups, that sort of thing. But it typically doesn't work if the guys up front don't block. So the offensive line, one of the most important units on the field, of course. How does that set up for 2024?
This is, again, another area that Kiffin and the staff just dominated in the portal. They went and got a new tackle from North Carolina, Diego Pounds. I believe he was the second-ranked offensive lineman in the portal. Just a really big guy, Mark. I've seen him in person. He's 6'7", 330. He looks like a guy you want to be protecting your quarterback. And then on the interior for the guards, Nate Kalepo and Julius Bulow, two guards who transferred from Washington, will be starting for Ole Miss next year. So as big as they are and as ferocious as they are as linemen, they bring a level of experience, of national championship game experience, which is a big thing for a team that's trying to pursue that goal. And then at center, Jackson will have the same center. His name's Caleb Warren. He's been super productive. Again, another voice, a great leader in that locker room. So if they can tie everyone together, get everyone on the same page, this could be a really productive offensive line, especially a line that's going to need to be productive with the question marks in the running back room right now.
So, Zach, with all of that put together, what could possibly go wrong? I guess injuries
Right.
aside.
That's the question mark. And we're going to have to play it by ear. I think a couple of those matchups that we're going to find things out quickly is on the road next year in Baton Rouge. And then obviously at home, we have Oklahoma and Georgia. So those are 3 make or break games that are kind of going to determine the fate of this Ole Miss team, especially on the offensive side of the football.
Considering for a long, long time and going back way before your time, this was a national championship type program in the 50s and
Right.
early 60s. And that was way before my time, believe it or not, too. And then after that, we're sitting in 7-5 territory most of the next
Right.
40 or 50 years plus. And now Lane Kiffin takes over. And of course, Hugh Freeze had some nice seasons, but Lane Kiffin takes over and he's posted a couple 10 and 11 win seasons. And there's all this expectation for 2024. So this has to be something that people have been waiting for a long, long time.
Absolutely, Mark. I'm not a lifelong Ole Miss fan. I'm just a freshman here, but I've fallen in love with the game and all the sports here. People who are Ole Miss fans lifelong, this is such a surreal moment for them. Just talking to them and walking around the Oxford community, walking around campus, people are excited. And I think we're still over 150 days away, but I will go on record and say there's never been this much buzz around an Ole Miss football season since probably, like you said, Mark, the 1950s and 60s.
Zach Morath, you can catch his work at the Rebel Walk. Of course, Evie does a great job of leading the staff there. And Zach, we appreciate you jumping on board with us. Hopefully we can have you back and talk some D.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mark. You have a great day.